Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Starbound, staring at the damaged alien ship floating in the darkness of space. The vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its hull was covered in strange symbols and smoke leaked from several holes in its side. "Sir, they're still not responding to our signals," said Communications Officer Emma Stone. She looked worried as she adjusted her headset. Jake frowned. The alien ship had appeared on their sensors an hour ago, clearly in distress. They had tried every frequency, every language protocol in their database. Nothing worked. "Their life support is failing," reported Science Officer Chris Bailey from his station. "I'm reading at least 20 life forms on that ship. They won't last more than a few hours." Jake made his decision quickly. "Prep the shuttle. Emma, you're with me. Chris, get the repair equipment ready." "Captain, we don't know anything about their technology," Chris protested. "We don't even know if they're friendly." "They're dying," Jake said simply. "That's all I need to know." 20 minutes later, Jake and his team were floating in space next to the alien vessel. Their suits beeped warnings about radiation levels, but nothing they couldn't handle. Jake attached a magnetic clamp to the hull and pulled himself closer. "There's the main breach," Emma said, pointing to a massive tear in the ship's side. "Their engines must have overloaded." Jake examined the damage. He had spent 15 years as a ship engineer before becoming a captain. He could work with this. "Emma, hand me the thermal welder." For the next 3 hours, the human crew worked in the vacuum of space. They patched holes, rerouted power lines, and stabilized the alien ship's failing reactor. Jake's suit warned him twice about oxygen levels, but he ignored it. They were almost done. Finally, lights flickered on inside the alien vessel. Jake heard a crackling sound in his helmet radio. Then a voice spoke in broken English. Who are you?" "Captain Jake Morrison of the human exploration ship Starbound," Jake replied. "We saw you were in trouble. Your life support should be stable now." There was a long silence. Then the voice spoke again, sounding confused and frightened. You came outside? In the empty dark? With no ship around you?" "Well, yeah," Jake said, puzzled. "How else were we supposed to fix your ship?" Another pause. "You have no shell? No natural protection?" "Just our suits," Emma chimed in. "Pretty standard stuff." The alien voice rose in pitch. "You covered your soft bodies in thin fabric and floated in the death dark to save strangers? What kind of creatures are you?" Jake exchanged a confused glance with Emma through their helmet visors. We're humans? From Earth?"
"Stay where you are," the voice commanded.
"We are opening an airlock. Please come inside. We must see these humans who do impossible things and think it normal." Inside the alien ship, Jake and his team removed their helmets. The atmosphere was breathable, if a bit cold. They found themselves surrounded by tall, insect-like beings with hard, shiny exoskeletons. The aliens stared at them with multifaceted eyes. One alien stepped forward. Its body was covered in elaborate markings. "I am Commander Vexenar of the Zilthian Empire. You saved my crew, but I must ask, why? Your ship was also damaged. We detected hull breaches on your vessel too." Jake shrugged. "Yeah, we took some hits from that meteor field yesterday. Nothing serious. We'll patch it up when we get back." Vexenar's antennae trembled. "You left your damaged ship to repair ours? Before fixing your own?" "Your situation was more urgent," Jake explained. "Our damage can wait. Yours couldn't." The alien commander's legs seemed to weaken. He sat down heavily on a nearby crate. "In all my years of space travel, I have never encountered a species so recklessly helpful. You risked death for strangers?" "That's just basic decency," Emma said, looking confused. "Anyone would do the same." "No," Vexenar said quietly. "No, they would not. Most species would have scanned us, calculated the risk, and left us to die. You did not even hesitate." Jake scratched his head. "Look, Commander, I don't know what kind of folks you've met out here, but where we come from, you help people in trouble. It's just what you do." Vexenar stood slowly. His whole body seemed to be shaking. "Captain Morrison, I must send a report to the Galactic Council. They need to know about humans." "They need to know about your kind immediately." "Sure," Jake said with a friendly smile. "We'd love to meet more aliens. The Council sounds great." But Vexenar's expression, as much as Jake could read it, looked more frightened than friendly. The commander turned to his crew and spoke in his own language. Jake didn't understand the words, but he caught the tone. It sounded like a warning. As the human team prepared to return to their ship, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something about this first contact had gone very wrong. but he couldn't figure out what. They had just helped someone in need. What was scary about that? The Galactic Council's science division was in chaos. Xenobiologist Kriath stared at her computer screen, reading the human DNA analysis for the 5th time. The results couldn't be real. They simply couldn't. She had been studying alien species for 30 years. She had cataloged creatures from gas giants and ice worlds, but nothing prepared her for humans. Dr. Kriath, your human subject has arrived, her assistant announced. A young human woman entered the laboratory. She had dark hair pulled back in a simple style and wore casual clothing. She smiled warmly. Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Fletcher. I'm so excited to help with your research. Kriath's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. This fragile-looking creature was a scientist? Please sit down, Dr. Fletcher. I have many questions about human biology. Call me Amy, the human said, settling into a chair. Ask me anything. Kriath pulled up her notes. Your planet, Earth. My readings show extreme temperature variations, from -40 to +50 degrees in different regions. Yeah, that sounds about right, Amy nodded. And you live in all these regions? Without dying? Amy laughed. It was a pleasant sound, but it made Kriath nervous. Well, we use clothing and buildings, but yeah. Humans live pretty much everywhere on Earth. Deserts, Arctic zones, mountains, jungles. Kriath's scales rippled with distress. Your bodies can survive such changes. Our bodies adapt. We sweat when it's hot, shiver when it's cold. Pretty basic stuff, sweat, Kriath asked. We excrete water through our skin to cool down. You know, like when you exercise and get all wet and sticky. Kriath felt faint. You leak your internal fluids as a cooling mechanism? I guess so, Amy said, looking confused. Doesn't everyone? No, Kriath said firmly. No species does that. It's incredibly dangerous, Amy shrugged. Huh. Well, it works for us. Kriath moved to her next question. I've studied your common consumption items, coffee, alcohol, capsaicin peppers. These are all toxins. Oh yeah, I love spicy food, Amy said cheerfully, and I can't function without my morning coffee. But these substances damage your tissues. They trigger pain responses. Why do you consume them? Because they taste good? Amy looked genuinely puzzled. I mean, yeah, really hot peppers can be intense, but that's part of the fun. Fun, Kriath repeated weakly. You consume poison for fun? Well, when you put it that way, it sounds bad, Amy laughed. But humans have been eating and drinking this stuff forever. Our bodies can handle it. Kriath made notes with trembling hands. Your medical history shows you broke your arm as a child. And your leg, and 3 ribs. Yeah, I was a clumsy kid, Amy said, smiling at the memory. Fell out of a tree when I was 8. Broke my arm in 2 places. Crashed my bike when I was 10 and messed up my leg. The ribs were from a soccer accident in high school. And you survived all this? Of course I survived. They're just broken bones. They heal. Just broken bones, Kriath whispered. A broken bone would kill most species she knew. The shock alone would stop their hearts. And you continued normal activities after these injuries? I mean, I had to wear casts for a while. Couldn't play sports for a few months each time. But yeah, eventually everything healed up fine. Amy held up her arm. See? Good as new. Kriath examined the arm with her scanner. The bones showed evidence of old fractures, but they had indeed healed. The human body had literally reconstructed itself. This is remarkable. Your species has incredible regenerative abilities. I guess, Amy said. I never really thought about it. Most of my friends have broken something at some point. It's pretty normal. There was that word again. Normal. Humans thought all of this was normal. Kriath asked her final question. What do you consider a serious injury, Dr. Fletcher? Amy thought for a moment. Well, anything that needs surgery, I guess. Or if you lose too much blood. Or if something gets permanently damaged. Why? Because everything you just described would be instantly fatal to most Galactic Council species, Kriath said quietly. Amy's eyes widened. Really? Oh wow, I had no idea. We should probably be more careful around other aliens then. After Amy left, Kriath began writing her report to the Council. Her hand still shook as she typed. Humans evolved on a death world. They survived by becoming nearly indestructible. And the most terrifying part was that they didn't even realize how dangerous they were. They thought they were fragile. They thought they were normal. The galaxy needed to know about this soon. The merchant ship Helena Star was 3 days from the nearest station when the distress call came through. Captain Ben Hayes listened to the transmission carefully, His crew gathered around the bridge. "Valorian transport under attack," said pilot Chris Walker, pulling up the coordinates. "Looks like pirates. 3 ships against 1. How far?" Ben asked. 20 minutes at full speed." Ben looked at his crew. There were only 5 of them on this small cargo ship. They weren't soldiers. They weren't heroes. They were just merchants carrying supplies between colonies. "Any other ships in the area?" "Negative, Captain," said Communications Officer Lisa Grant. "We're the closest by far. Galactic Patrol won't arrive for at least 2 hours." Ben made his decision. "Set course." "Full speed, sir," Chris said carefully. "Those are pirate ships, military-grade weapons. We're a cargo vessel." "I know what we are," Ben said. "But those Valorians won't last 2 hours. Move." The Helena Star jumped to full acceleration. In the cargo hold, engineer Lisa Grant was already working. She knew what was coming. She began routing extra power to the shields, pushing systems beyond their safe limits. They arrived to find the Valorian transport surrounded. Its shields were failing. Laser fire cut through space in bright lines. The pirates were taking their time, enjoying the hunt. "This is Captain Ben Hayes of Helena's Star." Ben broadcast on all frequencies. "Break off your attack immediately." The pirates responded with laughter and weapons fire. Energy blasts slammed into the Helena's shields. Warnings blared across every console. "Return fire," Ben ordered. "Chris, get us between them and the transport." The small cargo ship dove into the battle. It wasn't built for combat. Its single defensive cannon was meant to scare off small threats, not fight 3 pirate vessels. But the humans didn't retreat. "Shields at 60%, Lisa called from engineering. Her console was covered in red warnings. "Captain, we can't take much more of this." "Keep them up," Ben said calmly. He watched the pirate ships maneuver. They were confused. The cargo ship should have run away, should have left the Valorians to their fate. But the humans just kept fighting. Chris threw the ship into a hard turn. The gravity compensators struggled to keep up. The crew felt the force pressing them into their seats. For humans, it was uncomfortable. For most species, it would have been fatal. "Got one lined up," Chris said through gritted teeth. The ship pulled 4Gs through the turn, firing. Their small cannon hit one pirate ship directly. It wasn't enough to destroy it, but the pirate vessel veered off, surprised by the accurate shot. "Shields at 30%, Lisa reported. Smoke filled the engineering section. She kept working, sweat running down her face. "We've got hull breaches on decks 2 and 3. Seal them and keep going," Ben ordered. The battle continued. The Helena's Star took hit after hit. The shields failed. Laser fire burned through the hull. The cargo bay depressurized. Warning klaxons screamed throughout the ship. But the humans didn't stop. Chris pushed the ship through impossible maneuvers. Turns that put 10 Gs of force on the crew. Rolls that made the artificial gravity give up entirely. The humans just endured it, bodies straining but minds focused. "They're running!" Lisa shouted from engineering. It was true. The pirates were retreating. They had expected an easy target to run away. Instead, they found humans who refused to quit, who took damage that should have destroyed their ship and kept fighting, who flew maneuvers that should have killed the crew. The pirates decided these crazy humans weren't worth the trouble. As the pirate ships jumped away, Ben opened a channel to the Valorian transport. "This is Captain Hayes. Are you okay?" The Valorian captain appeared on screen. His face was pale, his eyes wide. You saved us. But your ship, it's destroyed." Ben looked around the bridge. Sparks fell from damaged consoles. Smoke hung in the air. Half their systems were offline. "We'll make it to the station." "Are your people hurt?" "Minor injuries only, thanks to you." "But Captain Hayes, why did you stay?" "You could have died. You should have died." "You needed help," Ben said, as if that explained everything. "But you're merchants, not warriors." "Doesn't matter what we are," Ben replied. "You were in trouble. We had to try." The Valorian captain stared at them for a long moment. "I will tell the council about this. About the humans who fight like machines and act like it's nothing special." After the transmission ended, Lisa climbed up to the bridge. She was covered in soot and coolant. "Captain, that was rough. We need serious repairs." "Good work keeping us alive, Lisa," Ben said. "It was all of us, sir," she said. Then she grinned. "But yeah, that was one hell of a rough ride." The crew laughed. They were battered, exhausted, and their ship was barely holding together. But they had saved lives. To them, that made it all worth it. Just another day of work. The Valorians would talk about this battle for years. About the merchant ship that fought 3 pirate vessels and refused to surrender. About the humans who took punishment that would destroy any other species and called it a rough ride. The story spread quickly through the galaxy. And everywhere aliens heard it, they felt the same chill of fear. What kind of species was this? Nimella had been on Earth for 3 weeks, and she was more confused than ever. The Galactic Council had sent her to study human culture, to understand what made them tick, but everything she learned just raised more questions. She stayed with human diplomat Karen Phillips in a city called New York. Karen was kind and patient, always willing to explain human customs, but her explanations often made things worse. "So tonight I thought we could watch a movie," Karen said over breakfast. "Something fun to help you understand Earth entertainment." "That sounds pleasant," Nimella replied. Her translator device worked well with English now. That evening, Karen put on what she called a classic horror film. Nimella settled onto the couch, expecting something educational. Instead, she watched humans being hunted by a monster. They screamed, they ran. They died in terrible ways. Nimella's scales turned pale.
Karen, why are we watching this?
"It's just a movie," Karen said, eating something called popcorn. "It's not real, but it's about humans dying. In horrible ways. Yeah, that's the point. It's supposed to be scary. You watch this for entertainment?" "Sure," Karen said, offering the popcorn bowl. "Horror movies are fun. They get your adrenaline going." Nimella couldn't process this. "You enjoy feeling afraid?" "In a safe way, yeah. It's exciting." Karen paused the movie. "Look, we know it's fake. Nobody's really in danger. But it's fun to feel that thrill." Over the next few days, Nimella discovered more disturbing entertainment. Humans read books about disasters and wars. They played video games where they fought and died repeatedly. They watched sports where players crashed into each other at high speeds. "I don't understand," Nimella said to Karen. "Your species seeks out danger, even fake danger for pleasure." "Well, real danger isn't fun," Karen explained, "but pretend danger is different. It's like practicing for emergencies, I guess. But mostly it just gets the blood pumping." The next shock came when Karen took her to a sporting event, a hockey game. Nimella watched from the stands as humans on ice skates chased a small disc with sticks. They moved fast. They collided, and then one player was hit in the face. Blood spilled onto the ice. Nimella stood up, ready to call for medical help. But the crowd cheered. The injured player skated to the bench, received quick treatment, and returned to the game minutes later. His tooth was missing. He just kept playing. "Karen, that man was seriously injured," Nimella said, her voice shaking. "Oh, losing a tooth? That's not that bad," Karen said. "He'll get it fixed after the game." "Not that bad?" Nimella repeated. "He's missing a body part. It's just a tooth. They grow when we're kids anyway. Adults can get fake ones. My brother lost 2 playing football in college." "Your brother also played violent sports?" "Yeah, broke his finger once too. Just taped it up and finished the game." Nimella sat down heavily. She watched the rest of the game in silence. The humans crashed into each other. They fell on the hard ice. They got hit with the disc moving at incredible speeds. And they all acted like this was normal, like this was fun. After the game, they went to a restaurant. Nimella tried to organize her thoughts. "Karen, I need to understand something. Your species evolved on a dangerous world. You faced predators and disease and harsh conditions. Now you're safe. You have technology and medicine, but you still seek out danger. Why?" Karen thought about this while eating her food. "I guess we like challenges. We like testing ourselves, and maybe we get bored if things are too easy." "You get bored with safety?" "Kind of, yeah. I mean, we don't want real danger. But we like excitement, competition, pushing our limits." "But the injury risk," Nimella protested. "The pain. That's what makes it meaningful," Karen said. "If there's no risk, there's no reward. Anyone can do easy things. We want to do hard things." Nimella pulled out her datapad and began writing notes. "So humans intentionally choose difficult and dangerous activities because easy ones are not satisfying?" "Pretty much." "And you consider missing teeth and broken bones acceptable costs for entertainment?" "Well, we try to avoid injuries," Karen said. "But yeah, sometimes they happen. That's sports." That night, Nimella sent her report to the council. She described human entertainment, the violence they enjoyed watching, the sports where injury was expected and accepted, the way they seemed to need some level of danger just to feel alive. She concluded her report with a warning. Humans had evolved to face deadly threats. Now that they lived in relative safety, they created artificial threats. They needed challenge and danger the way other species needed food and water. They weren't content with peace. They had to push, to test, to risk, and they thought all of this was completely normal. As Nimella prepared for sleep, she heard Karen in the next room laughing at something on her computer. Probably another video of humans doing dangerous, stupid things for fun. Nimella's scales shivered. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. These humans would never be satisfied with quiet, peaceful existence. They would always need more, always push further, and they would smile the whole time, not understanding why everyone else was terrified. The storm came out of nowhere. One moment, the joint science expedition was conducting routine surveys on the planet's surface. The next moment, the sky turned black, and winds screamed across the rocky landscape. "Everyone to the transport," shouted expedition leader Danny Torres, a human geologist. But it was too late. The storm hit with full force, and the transport was blown away like a toy. The team scattered, seeking shelter in the nearby caves. Danny found himself with two other humans, Nicole Reed, their medic, and Frank Murphy, security officer. They also had 4 aliens from different species, a Valorian scientist, 2 Zilthian engineers, and a Kryn navigator. All of them were now trapped deep in a cave system. "Is everyone okay?" Nicole asked, shining her light around the cave. The aliens were huddled together, their breathing rapid with fear. "We're unharmed," said the Valorian, whose name was Telmoth. "But we cannot stay here. The atmosphere in these caves, my scanner shows toxic gases building up." Danny checked his own device. Telmoth was right. The storm was pushing poisonous gases into the cave system. They had maybe 2 hours before the air became lethal. "The transport is gone," Frank said, checking his communicator. "And the storm is blocking all signals. Nobody knows we're here." "Then we walk out," Danny said simply. "Walk?" One of the Zilthian engineers, Kexal, stared at him. "The surface is experiencing Category 5 storm conditions. We will be killed." "The caves will kill us too," Danny pointed out. "At least outside, we have a chance." "But humans," Telmoth said weakly, "you have no natural armor, no protective shells. The storm will tear you apart." Danny looked at Nicole and Frank. They both nodded. "We'll figure something out," Danny said. "Nicole, what do we have for supplies?" Nicole opened her medical kit. Emergency masks, some oxygen canisters, thermal blankets, rope, and basic tools. "Perfect," Danny said, though the others couldn't understand why he seemed confident. "We can work with that." For the next 20 minutes, the humans cut up thermal blankets and fashioned crude breathing masks. They attached filters from the emergency kit. The result looked terrible, but Danny tested it in a pocket of bad air. It worked well enough. "These won't last forever," Nicole warned. "Maybe an hour of heavy use." "Then we move fast," Frank said. "But the storm," Kexal protested. "The winds are too strong. We cannot walk in them." "We won't walk," Danny said. "We'll crawl if we have to. Rope ourselves together. Take it slow and steady." The aliens looked at each other with their various eyes. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. The humans wanted to go out into a killer storm with homemade masks and rope. It was insane. "You'll die," Telmoth said quietly. "All of you." "Maybe," Frank agreed. "But we'll definitely die if we stay here. At least out there we're doing something." The journey was a nightmare. The wind tried to rip them off their feet. Rain hit like bullets. Visibility was nearly zero. But the humans led the way, testing each step, finding shelter behind rocks, always moving forward. Danny's arms ached from pulling the rope. His legs burned from fighting the wind. His lungs hurt from breathing through the makeshift mask. He ignored all of it. Behind him were people who needed help. That was all that mattered. Nicole checked on the aliens constantly, making sure they were still breathing, still moving. When Telmoth stumbled and fell, she lifted him up. The Valorian weighed almost as much as she did, but she got him moving again. Frank took the rear position, making sure nobody fell behind. When one of the Zilthians couldn't go on, Frank simply picked him up and carried him. The insect-like alien weighed 60 pounds. Frank carried him for over a kilometer through the storm. After 3 hours of hell, they saw lights. The base camp. Help was close. The humans found the strength to move faster, pulling their alien companions along. They stumbled into the camp together. The rescue team rushed forward. Everyone collapsed on the ground, exhausted. The expedition doctor, another human named Paul Chen, checked everyone over. The aliens were in shock but alive. The humans were bruised, cut, and completely spent. But they were grinning. "That was rough," Danny said, coughing. "Could have been worse," Frank replied. Nicole laughed, though it turned into a cough. "Yeah, at least we didn't have to spend the night out there." The aliens stared at them. Telmoth finally spoke. "You saved us. You went into death itself and brought us out." "Why?" "What do you mean, why?" Danny asked, genuinely confused. "We couldn't just leave you there." "But you could have called for help. Waited for proper rescue teams with real equipment." "You would have died by then," Nicole said. "We had to go right away." "Even though it might kill you too?" The three humans looked at each other, then back at Telmoth. "Anyone would do the same," Danny said. But Telmoth knew better. He had traveled the galaxy for many years. He had seen many species, and he knew for absolute certain that no, anyone would not do the same. Most species would have waited for proper help, would have followed protocols, would have chosen safety over risk. Only humans would fashion masks from blankets and walk into a killer storm to save strangers, and only humans would then act like it was no big deal. As Telmoth was led away for treatment, he made a mental note to add his own report to the growing file on humanity. The galaxy needed to understand these creatures, these impossible, terrifying, wonderful humans who saved lives and called it normal.